Imagine you are diving alone in the absolute darkness of the deep blue, with only a thin beam of light to guide your way down. Right now, you are at 4,000 meters. The pressure is crushing you like a skyscraper. Suddenly, your light sweeps across a strange, ghostly creature. It has no scales, no armor. It barely has any bones. But hundreds of millions of years ago, this place was a literal battlefield of giants. Back then, you would have been crushed by a 10-meter armored monster. So why did evolution decide to strip away all that incredible protection? Today, we are diving deep into the most chilling secret of the ocean. We are uncovering the truth behind the great armor abandonment. Prepare yourself, because the reality of survival in the deep is far more terrifying and strategic than you have ever been led to believe. Welcome to the Great Armor Abandonment. It is the single most dramatic turning point in the history of our oceans and life itself. You might think bone armor is the ultimate weapon of evolution. Millions of years ago, the ocean was filled with literal underwater tanks. But then, evolution made a cold decision. Armor was no longer worth the cost. It abandoned the shields and left us naked in the dark. This change completely rewrote the rules of the deep. It turned slow fortresses into lightning-fast killers that rule the modern world of water. We were taught that armor equals survival. Turtles, crocodiles, and armadillos still use it. So why are 96% of fish today naked? As it turns out, in the open ocean and the crushing deep, armor isn't a shield. It is actually a slow-motion death sentence. Evolution does not choose absolute safety. It chooses whoever can save the most energy, swim the fastest, and reproduce the most efficiently. In a world where every calorie counts, carrying a heavy shell is like trying to win a marathon while wearing a suit of lead. But to understand where we are going, we have to look back at the most terrifying tank to ever swim the seas. Imagine a shark the size of a bus, with a head encased in bone plates 10 centimeters thick. This is the legendary Dunkleosteus. It didn't have teeth. It had self-sharpening bone blades with a bite force stronger than a T-Rex. It was truly an unstoppable force. This monster dominated for 70 million years. Its armor protected it and even stored vital minerals for its massive, hungry body. But when the first true jawed fish appeared, the heavy armor became a burden. It was too heavy to hunt agile, modern prey. The king was dethroned. Not by a bigger monster, but by the simple need for speed and the high cost of maintaining bone. It is a reminder that being indestructible doesn't matter if you are too slow to catch your dinner in a changing world. And that leads us to the most successful hunters in history. The ancestors of sharks once wore heavy armor just like the rest. Then, in a few million years, they stripped it all off. They traded their heavy bone for a lightweight frame made entirely of cartilage. Cartilage is lighter and more flexible than bone. It allows sharks to turn on a dime and accelerate like a specialized fighter jet. Why carry a shield when you can just be too fast to hit? Evolution realized that agility is the best defense in the open sea. Bony armor is heavy. It makes you sink. To stay afloat, you need to use more energy. For a shark, that is a waste. By losing the bone, sharks became the ultimate endurance hunters. They can travel thousands of miles without ever stopping to rest or hide. But as we go even deeper, the loss of armor becomes even more extreme. At 8,000 meters, things get truly weird and ghostly. Meet the snailfish. It lives in the crushing dark. It has no scales, no armor, and its bones have almost completely melted away. It looks like a ghost. It swims like a spirit. In this extreme pressure, a hard shell would simply crack and shatter into pieces. Evolution chose a gelatinous body to match the pressure. By being soft, the snailfish becomes indestructible in a way that bone never could. This soft body also makes it naturally buoyant. It saves every drop of energy in a place where food is incredibly rare and precious. But being soft doesn't mean you aren't a killer. In the abyss, losing your armor allows you to grow weapons that defy all logic. Next, we find the creatures that took the no armor rule and turned it into a nightmare of absolute hunger and gluttony: the anglerfish and the gulper eel. They have mouths that can expand to twice the size of their own bodies to swallow prey. If they had armor, their bodies would be rigid. They couldn't expand. They would starve in a world where you might only eat once a month. This is the ultimate trade-off. No defense means you can become a living trap. You can swallow something twice your size in one bite. It is a gruesome strategy, but in the deep, it is the only way to survive. Evolution turned them into the ultimate opportunists of the dark. They don't need a shield because nothing can catch them in the dark, and anything they meet is usually ended up in their stomach. But if you think that's scary, wait until you see the fastest, most aggressive teeth in the entire ocean wasteland, the viperfish. It is only 30 centimeters long, but it possesses the longest teeth relative to head size in the entire deep sea. It uses its slender, unarmored body to achieve terrifying speeds. It strikes from the darkness like a living spear, impaling its prey instantly. It doesn't hide behind bone. It relies on being invisible and being faster than anything else. One strike is all it ever needs. Who would win? The 10-meter tank or this small needle? In the modern ocean, the needle wins every time because it can actually find food. Do you see the pattern? We went from massive 10-meter armored kings to small, soft, transparent, and incredibly deadly specialists of the abyss. These creatures don't need heavy armor to kill you. They just need to exist in the dark, waiting for the right moment to strike. Now we have to ask the most important question. Why? Why would evolution make such a cold, calculated move to strip away protection? It wasn't an accident. It was a trade-off. Imagine you are evolution, and you have two choices for your next generation of life. Choice A. You build a heavy, bone-armored tank. It is safe, but it is slow, consumes massive calories, and is very difficult to keep afloat. Choice B. You strip the armor. Now it's light, fast, and saves energy to produce thousands of babies and hunt more effectively. In the deep blue, choice B wins every single time. There are 3 deadly reasons why armor became a total failure in the sea. First, energy is far too expensive. Building bone takes minerals and calories that are better spent on survival and hunting in the void. Second, buoyancy is more important than armor. Being heavy means you sink. To stay in the mid-water, you need to be light and agile. Third, the arms race changed. It moved from absolute defense to speed and surprise. The best armor is simply not being where the teeth are. Today, 96% of all fish on Earth are teleosts. They are the naked, slender masters of the water that we see everywhere. Even the shark, the king of the ocean, gave up its armor long ago. You are swimming with these naked warriors every time you dive. The ancient armor only exists in museums now, or in the deep-seated nightmares that still haunt the coldest, darkest parts of the sea. Next time you look down at the ocean, remember this truth. Evolution once created the most powerful armored warriors the world had ever seen. But it chose the soft, the transparent, and the terrifying instead. Because in the deep blue, armor will never be enough to save you. Only adaptation saves. What do you think? Will evolution one day abandon us too? Tell me your thoughts below, and stay curious.